Welcome to the Visioning Workshop for East Rancho Dominguez. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to take a moment to let people settle in, and then we will get started. Please note this meeting is being recorded and will be made available on the project website, which we will share with you in a future slide. Bienvenido al taller de visión para East Rancho Dominguez. Gracias por acompañarnos. Vamos a tomarnos un momento para que la gente se acomode y luego comenzaremos. Tengan en cuenta que esta reunión se está grabando y estará disponible en el sitio web del proyecto que compartiremos con ustedes en un momento. Welcome to the Visioning Workshop for East Rancho Dominguez. Thank you for joining us today. Please note this meeting is being recorded and will be made available on the project website, which we will share with you in a future slide. Bienvenido al taller de visión para East Rancho Dominguez. Gracias por acompañarnos. Tengan en cuenta que esta reunión se está grabando y estará disponible en el sitio web del proyecto, que compartiremos con usted en un momento. Language support is available. To listen to this presentation in Spanish, click the globe symbol at the bottom of your screen. We have here today Marina Sorache Ferreiro providing Spanish translation. If you have any technical difficulties getting to the Spanish channel, please use the chat box to let us know. El soporte de idiomas está disponible. Para escuchar esta presentación en español, haga clic en el símbolo globo en la parte inferior de su pantalla. Hoy tenemos aquí Marina Sorache Ferreiro brindando traducción al español. Si tiene alguna dificultad técnica para acceder al canal en español, utilice el botón de chat para hacérnoslo saber. Okay, so before we get started, here are a few housekeeping items. Please note that everyone joining the meeting is muted by default. You may use the raise hand feature to talk. You can access the raise hand feature under the reaction selection menu, or you can also use the chat tool to submit questions as shown on the slide. And just a quick reminder, at the end of the workshop today, the county would like you to respond to a brief exit survey. So we will begin with some brief introductions. My name is Janet Rodriguez. I'm today's meeting facilitator and a member of the DUDEC consultant team, collaborating with the County of Los Angeles Regional Planning Department on this project. Also from DUDEC, we have here today Asha Blyer. We have John Camp and James Rojas from Placeit, who will be leading an interactive activity in a few moments. And from the County Regional Planning Department, we have Christina Tran and Rich Marshalayan, who will be available to answer any questions you have at the end of our activity. So now that you know us, we would like to get to know you. We will begin a poll shortly asking what your relationship is with East Rancho Dominguez. Do you live here, work here? Are you a business owner? The poll will be launched right now. You should see it on your screen. Okay, great. Thank you for participating and letting us know who you are. Looks like we have some people who work in the area and some people who are maybe just curious about what this meeting is about. Okay, so now that we know a little bit about each other, let's get started on a brief introduction on what the Metro Area Plan is. The Metro Area Plan is being prepared by the Department of Regional Planning of the County of Los Angeles. Let us first set the planning area in a geographic context. This is a map of Los Angeles County. There are 88 incorporated cities in the county. These cities are individually responsible for planning and regulating development within their jurisdiction. However, not all areas in the county lie within these 88 cities. The areas that are not within these cities are referred to as unincorporated areas. Los Angeles County, via the Department of Regional Planning, is responsible for planning and regulating development in the unincorporated areas. To effectively plan and regulate development in unincorporated areas across such a large geography, Los Angeles County has adopted a planning framework in 2015. This planning framework identified 11 planning areas across the county. The Metro Area Plan is one of the 11 planning areas of Los Angeles County. Some of you may have participated in the introductory workshops on October 26th and 28th. If you did not get a chance to join and would like to learn more about the Metro Area Plan, you can view the recording on the project's website at planning.lacounty.gov/Metro Area Plan. It is available on this slide, and we will also include it in the chat box at a later time.
I have a quick question. Sorry to interrupt. My name is Robert Jackson. I'm from Board Supervisor Holly J. Mitchell's office, and I cover the Rancho Dominguez area, East and West, and Compton. I'm the Deputy for Constituent Engagement. And I'm looking at the parties involved. I don't notice anybody here from East Rancho Dominguez Community Association. Were they invited to the meeting?
Yes, we have a community advisory committee, and we have representatives from each community, and we also reached out to community organizations, and we had a lot of people also volunteer from the initial workshops to pass out flyers and get the word out about these meetings.
Okay, thanks, because I'm just noticing they're not here, and I know that this is something that they would want to be a part of and have a say. So we generally have conversations about this every week in our check-ins about things that can be done to the community to upgrade it, whether it's beautification, whether it's roundabouts, whether it's murals and more green space. So I'm a little concerned that they're not in this meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your feedback. And with virtual settings, it is a little difficult to get more people involved. So we definitely echo what you're mentioning, and are trying our best efforts to make sure we reach out to the community and get them involved in this process.
Right.
And I'll just
Did you all reach out to them directly, or I'm just curious, like, are you all in contact with them at all?
Yeah, we are. I'll just add that we have a pretty good and robust mailing list. So we did directly email these folks and encourage them to attend. And this is also just the very, very beginning of the road, the early visioning stage.
Right.
So I know that there were some representatives at the introductory workshops, and then we'll have a lot more opportunities as well to engage. Yeah, I think we we definitely echo your sentiments, and we're hopeful that we would have some more folks attending with us here today. But we will make the most of this session, and we'll have a nice intimate session. And then all of our visioning workshops will also be made available online. Mm-hmm. So and we'll be following up with everyone that's registered in our entire mailing list. So folks can certainly still watch the recording, and then they'll be able to still email us their feedback. Right. It's an ongoing process. So even though those folks maybe weren't able to attend at this time and day, there still will be plenty of opportunities for input.
Right. No, and I actually understand. I just know that they're very active and are looking for these types of conversations. But if it's okay, I would like to drop their name and email in the chat box just to add your mailing list if you don't already have it.
Absolutely, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Robert, and thank you, Asha. So jumping back in, one of the primary goals of the metro area plan is to update the existing land use policies and to address needs. To simplify and streamline zoning rules, it will aim to consolidate regulations that currently exist across multiple plans. In evaluating existing land use and zoning, the metro area plan will prioritize issues that are central to the lives of community members. Foremost, it will utilize an environmental justice and equity lens to evaluate all recommendations, recognizing that the 7 communities have historically been disadvantaged via past planning decisions. Additionally, the plan will address the need for affordable housing, analyze the suitability of new housing in proximity to transit stops, and carefully study potential residential displacement. It will also implement zoning recommendations from the county-wide housing element. The plan will also look at opportunities for economic development and new green spaces. Of course, this is a preliminary list of priorities, and again, you can view the recording on the project website to learn more about the metro area plan. On this slide, we have a snapshot of East Rancho Dominguez's demographics, which includes a population of approximately 15,000 residents, 84% of which identify as Hispanic. Tonight's discussion and activities are centered around the East Rancho Dominguez community, which is one of the 7 communities included in the metro area plan. With that, I will now turn it over to John Camp from Place It, who will be leading tonight's activities.
Thank you. Yes, so you can move forward to the next slide. I'm Don Camp from Place It. This is James Rojas from Place It, and we're going to be leading everyone through a series of interactive model building exercises tonight to generate creative ideas for what you want to see in East Rancho Dominguez. So we're going to be doing 2 activities. Can you skip forward the next one? The next slide. Great, thank you. So the first activity that we're going to be doing is we're going to be using found objects to build our favorite childhood memory. You can skip to the next slide. This might sound like it's from out of left field, but we always start with this because we want to take people to a happy place, a time where they felt like they belonged, a time where they were discovering things, exploring things, being excited about the world. And from there, we can really mine what our core values are, and these really set the tone for the rest of the engagement. We want to know what those core values that you hold near and dear to you are. You can skip to the next slide. And then the second activity we're going to do is build your ideal neighborhood. So in this case, folks are going to build their ideal East Rancho Dominguez. And you can skip to the next slide. So we want to do this so that we can learn about what spaces and places matter to you and what your hopes and dreams are for the community. We do this by way of interactive model building exercises as opposed to just asking you questions, because you fire up a completely different part of your brain and you can be much more creative and forward thinking when you work with your hands as opposed to just saying what it is you want. So that's why we do it this way. And then you can move to the next slide. So with the model building, we're actually just going to be using really simple objects. So you can use things that are just found around your house or your apartment. So these can be things like hair rollers, corks, pipe cleaners, silverware, plants. You could use produce that you have, you name it, anything to build your models. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be perfect scale. You can be as creative as you want and just have fun with it. And we typically use a rectangular base for our model. So you could use a book, you could use a piece of paper, it doesn't really matter if it's something that you can build your model on top of. Next slide. So I wanted to show folks some sample models so you can get a sense of what you could use. So as you can see in the photo here, these are just really simple objects from around someone's house. And this is actually a model someone built to show, to demonstrate one of their favorite childhood memories, which was being with family in Mexico and learning how to dance. The next slide, please. This one is a model that someone built of hanging out with their family and being outside. Next one. And then this is a model that someone built of a nativity scene or a nacimiento that she built with her grandmother when she was a kid. Next slide. So this is what we're going to be doing for the next portion of the meeting. So we're going to start with building your favorite childhood memory. I am going to put my email address into, I'll switch my name over to my email address. So what you can do is build your model, and then you can take a picture of it and email it to me, and I can share the picture with everyone in the group. Otherwise, if you don't want to do that, you can also just use the camera on your computer or on your phone to show us what you've built. But we're hoping that everyone will build because it's fun and it generates a lot of creative ideas. And we also just want to get a sense of what really matters to you. And this is a really good way of doing that. We'll have our cameras on, so we'll build our favorite childhood memories so you can see it in action. But we'll take about 5 to 7 minutes to do this, and then we'll report back on what we've built and have a little discussion. Cool. So let me change my name. I'll just put in my email address here.
Okay. That's one.
And as James and John and you all are working on building your favorite childhood memory, I did see a comment from Carolyn Reed and just wanted to note that even if you're not a resident of the community or work in the community, we certainly would welcome your feedback and encourage you to participate. I think that even those that are outside of the area could have some really valuable insight. Perhaps there's something about the area that appeals to you, or some other sort of memory that you would like to share with us about, you know, a time that you've spent in the area, or even if you have a favorite childhood memory that you think could relate or be, you know, provide some insight for us as we embark on this planning process. So we still encourage you to participate if you're up for it. Thank you. And also, Carolyn, I see you had noted that you're at work without tools to build anything. You know, you could even just share verbally some thoughts, or even if you just have pen and paper, feel free to, you know, draw or sketch something. You don't need to work with tools if you don't have anything available.
Yeah, and you can also use things like paper clips, pencils, staplers, you name it, any sort of office supply you can use. The objects don't have to be literal. So for example, if your favorite childhood memory is of playing in a forest, you don't have to have like trees in order to build your model. You could use something that looks like a tree or represents a tree, but you don't necessarily have to have the exact thing.
Art interpretation.
Yeah, so you use a little artistic
Interpretation.
and artistic license, creative license. All right, so let's take a couple more minutes and then we'll start sharing what we've built and what our favorite childhood memories are. Okay, cool. So who would like to start first? Did anyone build anything that they'd like to share? We can always start folks off just to get the ball rolling. So we'll share what we built. Yesterday we did James's favorite memory. We'll do mine today. So let me just share my screen with folks. So this is the model of my favorite childhood memory that I built. This is the street I grew up on, and we used to always play out in the front between our house and then my best friend's house down the street. And we had a red wagon, and we used to play this game called Car Accident, where we would pile a whole bunch of us into the wagon, and then someone would push us to the end of the sidewalk and dump us out, and that would be the car accident. And then some kids would come and pretend to be the paramedics and save the day. And that was our one of our games that we played. But that was our world. I mean, we were out there all the time. It was like from this, I just feel like it was like from the sun coming up in the morning until the sun setting in the summertime. That's where we were.
We played the car accident.
Yeah. Anyways, so did anyone else build a model of a childhood memory?
I didn't build one, but I just I typed it in the chat box, just like being a child and going to the local parks and just like being able to utilize all of the different programming they had year round for kids, you know, whether it was like basketball, tutoring, swimming, just like different activities that all the kids in the neighborhood could utilize. And in terms of like and envisioning what the future could look like for Rancho Dominguez, I think personally, I think I would like to see more green space and more murals, you know, especially in the areas where there's potential space for like graffiti and whatnot. I think that murals are definitely key for positivity and just for like food for thought. I'd also like to see just more spaces where people can do recreational work, you know, like in the city of LA, Culver City, Santa Monica. You know, they have these little islands, right, or park areas where there's like the universal like workout gear, you know, like the city provides, like those metal things, you know, where it's like all of your own weight. I think if Rancho Dominguez had something like that, the community could also utilize. And when we think about like illegal racing and donuts and things of that nature, I think beautification project and those hot spots where the streets are really wide could
Mhm.
also prevent that and just make people more like, you know, hopeful and thankful and like proud of their community.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, where did you grow up?
I grew up in South LA, so I'm adjacent to Gardena, Compton, Rancho Dominguez area. Right
Okay.
up to 110, I'm about 15 minutes east of the LAX airport, which we all utilize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Carolyn Reeds.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that memory.
Absolutely, thank you for having me.
Yeah, and your ideas too.
Carolyn.
Yeah, Carolyn also shared hers in the chat, which is great. So I just wanted to read that aloud so folks could hear it. So she said, walking the streets of Uptown Whittier with her great aunt Fan and making her way to the library, picking dandelions that were growing in people's yards, blowing the seed helicopters to spread the joy of nature. Yeah,
that's
good.
great.
I feel like a lot of us have memories of picking dandelions and blowing the seed heads and watching them fly around. I love that. Would some other folks like to share any of their favorite childhood memories?
Maria, do you have one to share with us? Or Richard? There you go.
Oh, Richard. Okay, so Richard didn't build, but he drew. It was a shade of trees, a smell of nature because of a field near your house, and when you got older, a place where you could hang out with friends, and a place where you could eat or get cold drinks. Awesome. Thank you. Christina, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I didn't build a model either, but some of my favorite memories is just green, open land where I usually would ride bikes or walk with my friends or even horseback riding after schools, small little shops and markets, and just one theater in a town. And just like summer, we would go to the community pools, libraries, Girl Scouts, and just enjoy the nature and then the activities and recreation that the community offered, and spending time with friends and family.
Great, that's awesome. So I've just written that down in the chat for everyone. That was great, thank you. Does anyone else want to share before we have a little discussion?
I'll go ahead and share.
Great.
So one of my favorite childhood memories is during the summer months, my mom would take my older sister and I to play at the park, and we'd also spend some time at the local library. They would always give out free lunches, so that was definitely a community resource that we would often utilize.
Great, that's awesome. So go to the park with your mom and your sister and to the library. That's great. And Marina, you said playing with your cousins at the beach. Awesome. That's great. Well, so what I wanted to do, because we all have different memories and we're all from different places, I wanted to see if we could just go through and see, despite the fact that we're all from different places, we have different memories, what the recurring themes are amongst all of these memories. What are some of the commonalities that you see? So if you go into the chat, I've just sort of paraphrased the memories that people either built or shared with us. So if you want to just go through, take a minute, and just see what you think the recurring themes are amongst all the memories. Thank you, Janet. Yeah, friends, family, activities. Karen says open green space.
You know, I think it's interesting that, so there's these recurring themes, and then also a lot of people kind of specifying their social interactions and who they were with, or, you know, whether it's cousins or friends or a sister. And I think that's also important too, that, you know, these types of experiences are drawing together and creating those social interactions.
Good, yeah, I'll write that down.
These are also safe places too. They're safe spaces.
Kind of an implicit safety.
Yeah.
And Richard said trees, green space, places to hang out. Yeah. Plants. I'm gonna put in recurring theme. That's great. Awesome. That's great. Yeah, this eating, yes, food is also one as well. Awesome. So I just wanted to reiterate, I kind of said this in the presentation, but you know, we do this and we do this exercise because at the end of the day, these are in many ways what a lot of our core values are, and the things that we seek out throughout our lives, things that we seek out in the spaces and places that we want to spend time in, that we want to live in, or just spaces and places we want to have in our community, but we might not have it right now. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add before we move on.
Yes, so I think for a lot of people that we work with, they may not understand city planning, but they understand their experiences and they understand these stories. And this is, I tell them, this is your DNA for city planning. So for the rest of your life, you're gonna look for these same kind of happy moments. And as this planners, we're here to really kind of uplift your story and apply your story to the plan. So it becomes about you and your story, your experiences, and that's going to guide you, you know, to this whole kind of planning process. Thinking about what your core values are, and it's also, people don't really talk about toys or things; they talk about experiences. So I think for us, it's really important to really have a city that's really rich in healing in experiences, and not just building more things, but just trying to quickly kind of right place for things to happen. So this is a good activity to get people to reflect upon what city planning means in their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's a great way to segue into the next activity, which is going to be another building activity, but now we're going to really focus on East Rancho Dominguez and have folks build. You could also draw if you don't have materials to use, your ideal East Rancho Dominguez. So that is what we're going to do next, and we'll take about 5 to 7 minutes to do that, and then we'll share what we've built. And so for folks who, it'd be awesome for the folks who either work or live in East Rancho Dominguez if you're able to build what you want to see in your ideal East Rancho Dominguez. All right, so let's take about 1 more minute and then
Take a picture of your model.
And James and John, did we provide the email address if people did want to, you know, draw something and just email it over?
yeah, so I put my email address into where my name was. So if you look in the square where we are, at the bottom is my email address, but I can put it into the chat as well.
Oh, great. Yeah. I see it. Yeah, because I think somebody had mentioned they had drawn a picture for the earlier exercise. So it'd be great if we could, if you wouldn't mind emailing that to us, that would be great.
Yeah, I think that might have been Richard. Yeah, Richard, definitely email it to me so that we have it. That would be great. All right, great. So did anyone either build or draw their ideal East Rancho Dominguez? We'd love to see what folks came up with.
I can go first.
Let's see. Carolyn, were you able to? Oh, so I see you typed something in. Thank you, Carolyn. Yeah, so I'll read that out loud to everyone so they can see. So Carolyn said, safe, clean streets and sidewalks, pedestrian friendly, more trees on the west side of Atlantic, especially at the crossway at Compton Boulevard, and interactive events between community resources, intergenerational gatherings, and cross-cultural gatherings. That's awesome, Caroline. Thanks for sharing that with all of us. Let's see. Let me check. I don't know, Richard, were you able to do another drawing for this one? I know you're having some audio issues, so feel free to just type into the chat if you have ideas, or you can always email me if you made a drawing. And we can. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so Richard's typing out his ideas right now. We can share what we built. So let me share our screen right now. James, do you want to talk about some of what we built?
Okay. So what I built when I was doing some site visits in East Rancho Dominguez, I came across all these streets that had all these really wide medians in the middle of the street, like little parks, like really long ones. It's probably like 6 or 7 of them in East Rancho Dominguez. It'd be great if they put if they put recreational facilities like on these medians, because they may be like 20 feet wide. They're really wide. And if they put like recreational stuff on these medians, the kids can use it as a place to play and hang out. It could be kind of a recreational zone and really kind of bring the communities together. But there's a lot of cool ones in this community, and I think those could be really utilized to really make it a better place to live by having more investments in these medians.
That's great. Yeah. And we also just put in a lot of greenery, trees, more nature. This green character right here is a ghost, and we put that in just as the idea of it's safe enough for kids to go trick-or-treating on Halloween, and they can walk and be out on the sidewalk and feel safe and comfortable, be able to play. Cool, so I'm gonna stop the share there. And great, yeah, so thanks for that. Let's see, Mitchell for sharing that. So they have them in South LA, the medians. Let's see, Richard, let's see, I guess you're, okay, great. So Richard just sent his, so trees that form a uniform shaded canopy along every major road and every residential street. Parkways on roads that are wide enough for people to sit on and have a picnic. And so cars can slow down in the residential areas. Commercial areas with businesses that have dining outdoors, that make them feel like home and that are available for residents. Sorry, I'm wish listing. That's totally fine. That's why we're doing this. So Richard said, sorry, he's wish listing, but that's the whole point of doing this. So we really want folks to dream big with this exercise and not feel 100% constrained by existing realities. So in your ideal world of worlds, what would East Rancho Dominguez look like? What would it have? And so what you just put in, Richard, is great. I mean, that's the kind of visionary thinking that we really, really want. So that's awesome. Let's see, I see.
Are you, oh, sorry, I was just gonna say, and for Richard or others, are you seeing more outdoor dining as a result of, COVID, more kind of like usage of sidewalk space or parking areas and just sort of investments or usage of those areas? Would love to hear how maybe that's going, and also really appreciate like the specificity on location from Carolyn, for example. So if you do have any thoughts on that, any specific locations, that would be great as well for us to note.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it looks like we have a newcomer to Maria. Welcome. We are in the middle of building our models of our ideal East Rancho Dominguez. And so, yeah, some people have built models, some people are just writing their ideas down in the chat.
Hi, sorry, I have my kids are screaming, so I can't talk too much. But yeah, I just saw somebody said about the food truck. So yeah, so in East Rancho Dominguez, Atlantic and Rosecrans, Atlantic and Compton, Atlantic and Alondra, the whole thing. I mean, but that's what makes the community, like how there's a lot of vendors all over. Yeah, my dad, he rides his bike to go to the grocery store, to go to Northgate. And it's not safe for him to ride his bike. Yeah, I mean, what I want to see is better housing options.
That's awesome. Thank you, Maria. I know you got your hands full right now, so I'm just typing what you said in the chat. That's awesome. Cool. Any other ideas that folks have? I know, Asha, you had the question about if folks are seeing more outdoor seating because of COVID, or outdoor dining, or if people want to see more of that because of COVID.
These are all the media. So I think for mine would be at a Castlegate Avenue. It has really nice medians there. Okay. So that's where this would be at. Castlegate, or also on a Cook Acre Street.
That's where this model would be.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. Oh, sorry, I was muted. So I think what we'll do now is similar to the first activity. We'll pull out the recurring themes of the various models that people built and the different ideas that people had for an ideal East Rancho Dominguez. Because we had a lot of different ideas, but I know there are definitely some strong recurring themes amongst all these. And so I'll just type that in the chat, and you can either type those into the chat or you can chime in and just say what you think the recurring themes are. And yeah, and Maria, thanks, yeah, for those comments. Yeah, so Carolyn said safe, shaded, accessibility. Cool. Walkability and safety from Janet. Awesome, thank you. I think also bikeability and safety was a theme. Kind of like, I'll just say like safe streets, or streets that are safe for everyone. Walk, bike. Oh, sorry, I sent that to Richard. I just sent that to everyone.
And also rethinking existing infrastructure different ways.
Yeah. Rethinking infrastructure.
Or open spaces or medians in different ways.
Using medians in different ways.
Well, of Fraley Street and Williams line.
Opportunities for exercise and physical activity.
On Lime Street.
Great, thank you. Any other recurring themes that people have seen and what we've come up with? Food and street vendors. Yep.
Oh, and just to answer, let's see, is it Supervisor Mitchell? It looks like he was asking, will the presentation be emailed? Yeah, we will be doing a follow-up email with links, and it will take you to the project website where this recording and all of the recordings for all of our outreach workshops will be.
Really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Yeah. So these are some awesome recurring themes: safety, shade, making streets accessible for everyone, walkability, activity, vibrancy with food and street vendors, connectivity, interactions with people. So these are great. So these are the kinds of things that we'll be using as guiding principles, core values for the subsequent work that we're going to be doing on the specific plan. So we really appreciate all these ideas that you guys have come up with, the different hopes, dreams, creative visions that you have for the community. James, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, these ideas really kind of enhance the social infrastructure of the community. And that's what we want to do. We want to really enhance that social connectivity that people have in this community. In these kind of spaces, we'll be able to do that. It's great to hear this.
Thanks so much for everyone's participation. We really appreciate it. And Maria, yes, I got your last comment too. Thank you for that as well. Great, so that concludes our portion of the meeting. So we will pass it off to you guys and you can move on with the next part of the meeting.
Thank you everyone for all the input you have provided. This next activity is very short. It's intended to help us understand the neighborhood a little better. And so on the screen here, you can see a map of opportunity areas identified through previous planning efforts. And we would really like to supplement this information and add places that are valued by the community. So what would you like to keep? And here we have some examples such as landmarks that you show your visitors, festivals and parties that you go to, favorite places to eat, or places you go to listen to music, or also just local businesses, parks, or special places that you like to hang out. So these are just some questions to, provoke thought. But if there's anything else that we missed on here, we'd really like to hear your feedback.
And you can feel free to raise your hand or just put it in the chat. And I think, from the past two exercises, we're already sort of starting to learn a lot more about this community. And I think we've already answered kind of some of these questions in a way. But I'm sure everybody out there, you guys must have like a favorite restaurant or go-to or someplace where you always get takeout or, just to kind of give you some thoughts on, maybe some things you want to share with us. And just thinking about, as travel restrictions start to kind of ease up, just imagine, if you had a family member that you haven't seen in a while that's able to come and visit you, what are maybe the first and or second, top one or two places that you would love to take them?
Thank you for those of you who have input comments in the chat.
Yeah, thanks Maria for your comments. And Carolyn, thank you.
There's I think it's not East Rancho Dominguez anymore, but there's a tamal place on the corner of Gibson and Compton that there's a line like out the door. So maybe that place. Definitely I recommend if you want to do outreach there on Saturday mornings. There's a long line all the time there.
And I'm sorry, it's a tamale place?
Yes.
Okay.
It's like right on the, you're gonna cross over to Paramount. But yeah, that's like a place where we're like, okay, we'll go get tamales there on Saturday.
What were the cross streets for that?
I got
Compton?
Gibson and Compton, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool, thank you.
Yeah, Pupuseria is down there too, I think, off Compton by the freeway.
It's next to the car wash. I think it's across the street.
Cool.
And is that somewhere that has been around for, a long time, or is it drawing in these kind of more recent years, or?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I mean, I feel like I always remember something being there. Yeah.
No, thank you. That's really helpful.
So I remember when because your question was like, if we were to bring our family members, like I said, I mean, it's of interest, but I remember when the library used to be like a small room, and now it's like this really nice library. I like going to that library. It's nice.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
That's great. I'm sure the kids like it too.
Maria, if you can, or maybe add it to the chat, what were some of the improvements that were made to the library that you really like?
They moved it. It used to be like in this corner. I don't know the street, but it used to be like it's like kind of like it looked like a small church, and they completely moved it. They moved it now. It's next to Northgate, so it's completely. I don't know if you look it up what it used to look like before, but it's a completely different building, different address, and now it's like colorful. It has and now it's like a modern library.
Thank you. Okay, well, feel free to keep inputting things in the chat. So just to let you know, there are more opportunities to get involved. If you know people who live in these neighborhoods, please share the word with them. We're going to input the links to the project's website. So as I mentioned earlier, there are the previous recordings are available on the project's website. And we will also be including tonight's recording on there. There's also a community survey. The link is on here, and I'll also add that to the chat shortly. And you can also share that with people in the community, or if you can input your feedback on there, we would really appreciate that as well. And so the next visioning or the next workshops for East Rancho Dominguez will happen in spring of 2022. But yes, thank you all for attending tonight.
Yeah, and I just put, oh, I'm sorry. I
No,
just
go
put
ahead.
a link to the survey in the chat.
Thank you, Asha. So here is another opportunity to get involved. The county is also currently working on developing a plan to improve walkability in East Rancho Dominguez, which, as we heard tonight, is very important to the community. And some of you mentioned that as an area of opportunity. So the plan will identify programs and safety projects to help support walking to key destinations like parks, schools, and local businesses throughout the community. The county wants to hear directly from the neighborhood about concerns and barriers to walking, and is hosting open house style outdoor workshops for East Rancho Dominguez on Saturday, December 4th from 11 to 3 p.m. at East Rancho Dominguez Park. You can also learn more about the plan and the upcoming workshop at stepbystepLAcounty.com. The website has a survey you can take to share your thoughts on walking in your community. And they also have an online map where you can show exactly where enhancements would help you walk more, such as crosswalks, wider sidewalks, signals, shade trees, or sidewalk lights. You can also use the map to tell the county about personal safety concerns that may keep you from walking.
And really quickly, Carolyn, thank you for that note in the chat. She said that the flyers, the flyer that we actually showed is available at the library. So that's great to know. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, so before we conduct the exit poll, we'd just like to turn it over for county staff briefly so they can say a quick hello.
Hi, this is Christina. I guess on behalf of the county, we'd like to thank everyone for taking your time from your busy schedule to join us in this workshop. We appreciate all your input in this planning effort and hope to see you at future workshops. Thank you again and enjoy your evening.
Thank you so much, Christina. So with that, we will launch the quick exit survey. And again, we'd like to thank everyone for joining today and really giving us this helpful input. We hope to see you at future community meetings.
Thanks for attending, everyone. Thanks, Richard. Thanks, Carolyn. Thanks, everyone from the county, Dudek, and thank you for interpreting, Marina. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you, Asha. All right, well, have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, guys.
Good job,
Night.
Janet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.